friends, welcome to Tarun IS. Today we will be discussing editorials from The Hindu 8th of November 2022. So let's start with the editorial. I have taken this topic, the existential crisis faced by madrasas. You can relate this topic with your general studies paper 2, issues related to the education. We know that education is very important in any individual's life, and there are various institutions providing that education. There are modern schools, there are other schools, and there is madrasas. Madrasas, and you can also relate this topic with your general studies paper 1, that is Indian society, and the source is the Hindu. So this is the article, and the issue is about the madrasa. Now, what is the context of this news? Basically, the Uttar Pradesh government has ordered the detailed survey of the unrecognized madrasas. Now, this has sort of created tension or kind of confusion amongst the section of the society, of a certain section of the society. Now, the government's claim is that the survey being an exercise to help the madrasas and their students, this has been less than convincing amongst the certain section of the society. Now, in the past also the government had called into the question about the patriotism of the madrasa. I mean, they were asked to show their patriotism by flag hoisting and by etc. other, other acts of that are being considered in accordance with the nationalism and patriotic feeling. So what are basically madrasas? Now, madrasa is an Arabic word which means the educational institution. So if you go to the Gulf countries, if you go to the Western Asian countries, then there the meaning of madrasas means any educational institution that provides you education. Even colleges, schools and etc. they are known as madrasas. But when we talk about the Indian subcontinent and especially the South Asia, the term madrasa, it becomes specifically associated with the religious institution and with the religious education. However, the term does not restrict itself to the religious education. In India, especially if we speak of India, then madrasas, they provide the education in the Islamic theology and plus other subjects too. And this varies across India. This varies from madrasas to madrasas. Some madrasas, they do provide education other than the religious education, and some may not. So the topic, basically our motive here is to understand the various education institution that exist in India and how we can uplift them and how we can modernize them. So especially when it comes to the madrasas, there is a dire need for their modernization, for the improvement of the quality of the teacher and also for the improvement of the funding and the infrastructure. The government claim is that they are going to help the madrasas by conducting a survey of the unrecognized madrasas and helping them to build their infrastructure, helping them to improve the education that they provide in the madrasas. Now, madrasas, they are basically, you can relate them as a residential school too. The students who come and study there, they basically live there. They're provided with the food, they're provided with the resident to live there, and they study different subjects, and the special is mostly on the Islamic theology. However, this is not for all the madrasas. Now, how these madrasas are run in our country, from where does the funding comes? So basically, madrasas, they are given the funding from the community itself. The community gives certain amount of money to run the madrasas. Now, this can be correlated with your Article 25 to Article 30. Now, according to Article 25, we have the freedom of conscience. Then according to Article 30, which is the most important article when it comes to the minority education, that they can establish their own institution and they can provide education there. And the government and there will not be any intervention from the government or regulation per se. So they do have the independent regulation and they do have the autonomy when it comes to regulating the education institution of the minority, whether it is the Christian minority, Muslim minority, Jain minority, Buddhist minority, etc., etc. Now, Buddhist minorities are not under the purview of Article 30 though, because according to Article 25 definition of Hindu, Jain, Buddhist and Sikh, Hindu, Sikh and Buddhist are included in the definition of Hindu. So you can relate this with your Article 30 of the Indian Constitution, that madrasas, they have the autonomy and the independence to run their institution, and they are provided with the community funding. So with the first lockdown and during the COVID-19, this community funding, it declined drastically, and this posed an existential crisis to the madrasas. Now, under the normal circumstances, an institute pressed for funds cuts down on the expansion. Now, if there is a declining in the funding that is given to the madrasas, so what does the madrasas normally do? They cut down on their other important or essential activities. That is, they might cut down on the food, they might cut down on the number of the student intake, and etc., etc. So here this becomes existential crisis for tens of thousands of the students who study in madrasa. Now, according to the expert and according to the writer, why madrasas are very important? Because we know that according to the Sachar Committee report, that the Muslim minority faces economic problem. They have lot of socio-economic problem, and especially when it comes to the income and generating employment, etc. So madrasas become very important because parents, they send their children to madrasa so that they can have food, and they can have one less mouth to feed at home. So that's why madrasas, they become very important, and they provide education to the poorer section of the society, and therefore it is an utmost importance for the government and for other experts and policy makers to build the infrastructure of madrasas, to accommodate them into the modern education and to provide modern education within that infrastructure, so that the education becomes accessible and affordable for everyone. We cannot neglect any section of the society, especially the minorities who are facing the socio-economic problems and are in dire need of help. Therefore, madrasas need to be modernized, and the government can take several measures to modernize them. Considering their importance and their stronghold within the community, the madrasas would play a major role when it comes to making the education accessible and affordable for all. Now, so we spoke of the funding. Now, what is the current situation here? The current situation here is about the funds which are drying up to feed the hungry, and it will and to impart literacy. Now, what is the definition of literacy here? Any person above the 7 years of age who can read and write in any language that is spoken and written in India is considered as a literate person, whether it is Urdu, Hindi, Malayalam, Tamil, Sanskrit, English, etc., etc. So anyone who can read and write in a language and perform basic mathematic algorithm is considered as a literate person. So to impart literacy, but the role of the modern education and the role of the Indian government and India as a state is not just to impart literacy to its citizen, but rather to improve the education system and to impart the modern education that includes the science and technology and other subjects which are employment generating, and which is considered as a knowledge based language. So it is important for us to modernize the madrasas and to bring them at par with the other school institution, and to bring equality in our country, and make an egalitarian and equitable society. So the fact is this, that unrecognized and irregular madrasas, they could do with some help. There is a lack of directions. So other than this situation, what is the problem with the madrasas is that there is a sort of stereotyping of madrasas, considering that we live in a country and the neighboring country, we have seen a huge huge radicalization among the youth. So madrasas, they are by the other people considered as a hub for radicalization, and there are always allegations against it. So the government needs to work on it so as to bring the madrasas in the education system and to prevent any irregularity and any other activities that may be sponsored by other state. So the instructions through this, and the other problem that madrasas face right now is the semi-educated teachers. The teachers are not well qualified there. There is an importance of the teachers when it comes to imparting education, and we need to improve the quality of the teachers who are in fact teaching in madrasas also. We need to, and the secular education, according to the writer, the mostly madrasas, they focus on the theology, they focus on the Islamic theology, and there is a need for the secular education. What does the writer mean by the secular education here? Education which is not related with the religion, of course, that comes under the ambit of the secular education. That is, we can teach maths, science, English, to increase and enhance the productivity and the employability of the youth who are studying in the madrasas. So we were talking about the current situation and what are the crises that are being faced by the madrasas. First is according to the experts, some madrasas, they are considered as hub for radicalization, and this disrupts the social fabric. Like I said, a sort of a stereotype and a prejudice or predilections are created about the madrasas and the educations that are provided there and the environment therein. So there is an important need for the awareness and also for the regulation, a proper regulation of the education in the madrasas, so as to elevate the fear of the other section of the society, and as well as provide a quality education to the youth studying in madrasas other than the theology, because the employability is reduced if secular education is not provided. So to enhance the employability and efficiency and productivity of the youth, there is an important need for the secular education, means other than the theology. So there is an emergence of fundamentalism too. However, this you can relate with the politicization. We are not going to go into the politics of the topic and etc. But we are here trying to focus on the education system. And education system within its ambit include lot of institutions. And it is the onus on the government of India to improve the infrastructure and the quality of the institutions that provides education to the youth, so as to bring every section of the society at par with each other, and to be able to contribute to the prosperity and the economic growth of the country. Now, according to the experts, the expert opinion is, the writer says that the survey would further the issue which is faced by the madrasas. So suddenly it would be felt as sort of a crackdown on the madrasas. So the government needs to understand that how the education provided in the madrasas need to be improved, and there is a lot of things that need to be done other than the survey by the policy makers, so as to enhance the credibility of the madrasas among the youth and those who are interested in studying in them or those who study in them. So the Taliban rule has also sort of created prejudices amongst the other section of the society about the education which is provided in madrasas. So there is a whole gamut of issues that needs to be tackled by the government, and the one and the more important thing is to create awareness amongst the section of the society concerned, the madrasas and the other section of the society. So there is a awareness that needs to be generated as a whole in the country. So like I said, the community sponsorship is also declining post-COVID. Post-COVID, the community sponsorship has also declined. there were most of the students, they were first generation learners. First generation learner means those who are attending madrasas for the first time in their family. So there are first generation learners as well. That means the parents are sending their kids to the madrasa education. So if the kids are being sent to the madrasas, that means the madrasas infrastructure and education needs to be improved, and it needs to be enhanced. Like the writer says that they are sent by their parents. But why they are being sent by their parents? For the food and resident. So madrasa basically, since they work like a residential school, so their infrastructure needs to be improved. For example, the dormitories, and for example the books, other than the theology needs to be provided. The quality of the teachers needs to be enhanced. They need to be properly trained to impart the education other than the theology. And even if the theology education is being provided, a course needs to be set up, a course needs to be designed, that what needs to be taught when it comes to the Islamic jurisprudence, because some people are interested in studying the theology. And so, like the writer says, for the poverty-stricken parents, the madrasas, they are sort of a blessing. They are considered as a blessing, and education is often considered as a bonus by that section of the society. However, the madrasas, they are maligned. That means their image is distorted, and their image is not very clear with the other section of the society. And some of the students who left during the COVID-19, sorry, this is not COVID acid, but this is COVID-19, they did not return, as perhaps they were involved by their parents in some other work. So this is what has been happening with the madrasas, and they face the existential crisis. And now the writer says that it has become very challenging to operate madrasas in Uttar Pradesh, and writer gives example of certain madrasas who operate in a more modern way, and who try to encourage their their students to appear for the CBSE board examination, so that they can enhance their employability, and they can apply for job out when they go to the outside world. So for example, the writer gives example of the Jamaatul Hamad in Gautam Budh Nagar, which is one of the districts in Uttar Pradesh, and it is one of those rare madrasas who encourage students to take the CBSE examination alongside learning to be Hafiz-e-Quran. It means the one who has memorized Quran. So in the past, there were some good Samaritans who sent packs of rice, wheat flour and cooking oil to the madrasas. However, some sponsorship has drastically reduced, and the leaning of the students with the prospects of going to bed hungry. So the writer points towards the poverty and towards the lack of funding that the madrasas are receiving today. And like writer says that 30% of the students who studied in Jamia Mahad-e-Noor, which is one of the madrasas in the Dadri, Uttar Pradesh, has dropped out post-COVID. That means they did not return post-COVID, and the teachers cannot be retained due to paucity of the funds. There is a lack of online education. Most of the education institute they switched to the online education during the COVID-19. However, this was not the case with the madrasas, and the students who studied there, they kind of lag behind the other students who lag behind in the race. And the lack of ownership documents also sort of creates a confusion, and also a kind of a fear that from where these documents and etc. would come when it comes to the survey that is going to be conducted by the Uttar Pradesh government. So there is a fear amongst the people who run madrasas. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching Tarun IAS. I hope you understood this article well. The main motive of this article was to understand the various education institutions that exist in India and how we can improve them. However, the article did focus on the madrasa education, but from the education point of view, that you have to understand that every education institution needs to be improved, its infrastructure needs to be built, and the quality of the teachers needs to be enhanced so as to increase the employability of the youth. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching Tarun IAS. Have a nice day.